Now the process is going to be different for every single company out there. However, we try to make our process as simple and as less of a workload as we can for you as possible. And we do this by starting off with a virtual meeting. And in that virtual meeting, we identify what level of automation you and your company have, if you have any existing automation, and do you have an application that you are looking to automate at this point in time. Now, a lot of times, if you don't have an application and you just know that you need to automate, we also help with that. Sometimes it's on a consulting basis. Sometimes we just come in and pay your facility a visit and then help point out some type of area that you'd like to automate. But if you'd like us to dive deeper into more of a consultant basis and really choose the exact best place to automate, we can do that as well. If you already know the process that you want to automate, that makes the process quite a bit more simple and we can move along a little bit more quickly. Now in this first meeting, a lot of times it's an introductory meeting as well as an RFQ meeting. So we can start diving into your particular application or process during this meeting and get a good overview of what type of automation you're looking for and whether we're a good fit for one another. Now, generally this has to stay a higher level conversation until we get NDAs signed, but sometimes we get a good enough overview and the customer's allowed to share enough information with us and we can share enough information with them that we can actually move forward even more progressively. So generally, no matter what, after this first introductory meeting, the NDA process is next. So our HR team, your HR team, or whoever it is within your company that signs NDAs, we'll get that NDA signed, and then we'll be able to talk in more detail, share more contents with one another. And at that point, we're either jumping into a second meeting or we're starting to collect data. So if we jump into a second meeting, we're essentially just gonna dive deeper into the specifics of the applications, maybe your particular parts that you're looking to automate, and just overall more engineering data. Now, if we already have a good understanding from our first meeting, then we can kind of just start collecting that data via email, or maybe we put in a request in that very first meeting. But almost no matter what, we'll write an email out of all the requirements that we need. A lot of times it's not a ton of data. And I think that's one thing that could potentially be stressful for individuals, is they think that there's a ton of data they may need to provide us. Generally, we're looking for photos of the operation, videos of the operation, of your particular parts that you're looking to work with. And this is also the data that we'll be collecting in this second meeting and after the NDA phase. One thing I left out about the first meeting that we'll generally cover there is the delivery time. So we try to identify when are you guys looking to install this application to see how it fits with our schedule and how aggressively we need to work towards the RFQ and the execution of the project. And then another thing that we also do in that first meeting is we do an ROI/budget analysis. And essentially what we're trying to do is identify how much we can invest in the automated system. Elite Automation, we really try to put all the bells and whistles and make systems as advanced as we can. However, there's a lot of our customers that their budget just doesn't elicitate for it, or they just don't really want any of the bells and whistles. However, we advise that you should go with the bells and whistles because it's what makes a system better long-term and gives you the most future-proof system. Some of those things that will go into that ROI calculation is how many employees are working in the operation, how often are they working 24-hour shifts, 7 days a week? Is there any injuries associated with the operation? Are people getting injured on a monthly basis and you're having to create incidents reports and pay extra insurance premiums? Increased production. So if there's an increase in the amount of product that you're able to output, that is also calculated into the ROI. And then another big one that's not actually ROI, but it's just the lack of labor. Some companies, and I'll even say a lot of companies a year ago, really were struggling with labor. They couldn't find anybody. It's still the case, but it seems to have gotten a little bit better. But nobody could find labor, and that was the reason they needed to automate. It wasn't because of the ROI. It wasn't because they needed to be more efficient. It was because they just needed something to get the job done and to be able to produce their product.